Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back, everyone. If you are going, or maybe you know somebody going through some challenges, you feel stuck in life, things just don't align with you. It's, it could be you're going through stress, anxiety as well. Maybe you want to stop smoking. Maybe you want to lose some weight. There's something for that. I can't stress it more than I am here today. Hypnotherapy makes a difference and will change your life. It's happened for me. I've seen it with others. It's just the way it should be. How does it work? We're going to go a little deep here today, but it's going to be an eye-opener. We're going to learn a lot. And she is an amazing certified hypnotist and helps people all the time. And she's back with us. Melissa Darrington joins us on the program. How you doing?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Steve. It's great to be here again with you today and share more knowledge about all of this. I think, a lot of people have questions about it, and I'm very happy to help answer what is most important for everyone to know.
Well, I'm going to throw it out there. Instant feedback, steve@gmail.com, if you have a question for Melissa about hypnotherapy.
Absolutely.
So today we're going to look at what's actually going on in our minds when we were younger, when we're getting hypnotherapy, when we're just going through everyday life as an adult. I never knew any of this when I did hypnotherapy. All I knew was that, and this is only like 3 years ago, all I knew was that what I needed to address was my childhood. Nothing majorly crazy, wrong about it. But like I think we're going to find out today, it all starts when we were younger, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, what we're going to talk about today, Steve, is really the brainwave states, the different ones that we cycle through each day. And specifically when we're talking about childhood, what are the brainwave states that we were in at that time? And why is that so important in the patterning that we may be seeing in our lives and the difficulties we may be having in breaking those patterns? And so, again, it's wonderful to be here again to share more information with everyone. The last talk, if you haven't heard it, I would encourage everyone to go back and listen about the little brain, which is the neural network of brain cells in the heart. And that is just a fascinating discovery that was made and really helps to understand why hypnosis works so well, because we're working in that subconscious state. And now we're going to be talking about the brainwave states and why that's so important in the work that I do with hypnosis. So, when we're going throughout our day, essentially we're cycling throughout different brainwave states. Now, this is different from when we're a child, but essentially brainwave states are measured in what's called hertz, which is how we measure sound. So essentially, we can put an encephalogram on the head, which is different leads that monitor the brain waves. And so as we're doing this test, we can see where someone is as far as beta, delta, that kind of thing. And so this is a way, again, that we're able to measure the brainwave states. Now, here's something I found really interesting. And I wanted to say with the Hertz music, this is really cool to listen to, especially when you're asleep at night and going to sleep, because you're in that theta and delta states. And those are the states that you really receive the best benefits from healing and being able to recenter, if you will, those hertz or those sound waves, those brain waves that are happening within you. So listening to binaural beats, that's one thing that you can do with headphones, and that really helps to strengthen the connection between the hemispheres of the brains.
So I have a question right at that point, because I love music. Those beats, is there a certain frequency that you should be looking to? Because I do listen to certain frequencies of music that are produced. I believe I have a horrible memory for the frequencies, but I believe it's like 588 hertz or something is the frequency of love. So there are tons of people that create these pieces of music, if you will. Just it's, kind of a drone, kind of a melodic, but it centers around certain frequencies. Is there a certain frequency that you should listen to strengthen those connections in your mind?
Yeah. So, interestingly, as you say that, there are so many different ones out there. And a lot of times they will also specify what that will help with. Some are more specific to the immune system, some are more specific to the heart and different things of that nature. So that's why I say you can do a search and specifically for what it is that you're wanting to address. And essentially listen to it at night, allow it to just kind of set in, and it will help to recenter that energy within you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if I ever shared with you, but one of the hypnotherapy sessions I had before we met, the hypnotherapist provided me with audio. It's about 20 minutes of audio about a certain thing I was trying to accomplish, a goal that I had.
Right.
And I listened to it before I go to bed somewhat often. And I don't even listen to it for the goal. She puts me to sleep.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. It takes me through an exercise. I'm hypnotized because I know it. I can feel like I'm going into that state. And I'm just laying there and I'm like, that's great. Then she starts talking about the goal that we're trying to achieve. And then all of a sudden I'm asleep. And my understanding based on your point, and this is why I'm bringing it up, that when you're just falling into sleep, you're so receptive to whatever's being suggested, and she's suggesting things. So it's a twofold. She's putting me to sleep, but at the same time, never fails, by the way. And at the same time, I'm getting the information to make the change in my life. Is it true? And I didn't mean to cut you off, but we were right there.
No, you're fine.
Is it true that if you want to make a change, you need to do it for like 21 days? So if I really wanted to cement the goal, I'd need to listen to this 21 days in succession.
Well, so that is one way that you can do it. And repetitiveness, that is one thing that traditional hypnosis does. We would do a script with you and we would record that main aspect of the script so you could play each night to help reinforce the work that we've done.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what's really cool is the type of hypnosis that I do is we can kind of get it done in the same setting.
What did you call that? What type?
It's conversational hypnosis is the official name for it. It's essentially, if you think about it, when someone is talking to you and you're really focused on them, you tend to fall into that more receptive state. You fall into more of a hypnotic state automatically. So that's what I'm doing, except I'm guiding it in a specific way to help you with that realization within you. Now, the cool thing about it is we can take you in, bring you out, take you into for another aspect of the problem, bring you back out. That way we're dealing with every aspect of the problem in one session, as opposed to having several sessions and needing to have the reinforcement, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm just going to reinforce here, and we talked about it last time we got together, that in no way are you controlling somebody's mind.
Absolutely not.
Got to get past that, people. It's not. It can't be done unless you want it to be. Melissa's not going to make you do something you don't want to do. It's just not going to happen. That brings us to the point of you have to want to make the change.
Absolutely.
You have to be open to it. I suggested hypnotherapy for a relative. And again, before we met, and the practitioner was good. I know she's good. And the relative said, it just didn't work for me. I don't know what it is. It just was a waste. It just didn't work. I think she had maybe 3 or 4 sessions. I know why it didn't work. I know her personality. She wasn't open to it. I just know it. it. She wasn't ready for it. I really think that's what it was.
And that's exactly right. Whether it's the form of modality or the actual being ready to, address the problem.
Yep.
If the person is not ready, then essentially they're going to automatically put up those resistances that won't allow for that.
100%. It's like the spouse gets the other half an appointment with somebody like yourself so they can stop smoking. You need to stop smoking. I'm making the appointment and you're going to do the hypnotherapy. They show up. Hey, I'm here. Let's do it. It's not going to work.
No.
Unless they really want to stop smoking.
And that just makes your point that you can't make anybody do something under hypnosis that they don't want to do.
Good point. So getting back to waves, I always get them confused. So what beta, theta? What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, understanding that there's 200 million, if you didn't know, nerve fibers that connect the right and left hemispheres, and they are responsible for allowing both of those hemispheres to work properly together, right? So the slower brainwave states, you feel sleepy, slower, right? Makes sense. Yawning when you're talking. And while the faster ones, you're more go-go, you're ready to get out there and do what you need to do. You're awake, you're alert. So starting at the top, gamma, this is like high performance. We're talking about being focused on a problem, something that you need to take care of right away. It takes all of your brain power. You don't have any focus for anything else. You got a test coming up, whatever the case may be. So this is resonating at 35 to 100 hertz. Okay. So that's the frequency that's being put out when we're really putting brain power in.
And a very low vibration.
It seems like it, yes, right?
Interesting.
Okay. And so, next we move into the beta, which is the more active. This is kind of like where we stay this is the state between 13 and 35. So we can see when we're in 35 to 100, that's actually pretty high for us. And It's not something we want to maintain all the time. So that's high stress. We're always trying to figure out what to do next. Those are people that probably have problem after problem to take care of, if you will. So this would be the majority of people where we reside throughout most of the day. It's optimal for just doing regular tasks that we really don't have to think about, like cooking and cleaning, working out, that kind of thing. So within this range, there are 3 different ranges is what I learned and I wasn't aware of as well. So the low range is when we're more relaxed and it's a good time for reading and kind of taking things in, if you will. So maybe the newspaper or whatever. So mid-range, this is when we're dealing with healthy stress and our mind is focused on taking care of something. So maybe something a more or advanced recipe or something like that. If you're cooking, you got to pay a little bit more attention to what you're doing. For the high range, this talks about survival mode, and it's associated with fears and emotions. So anxiety, panic, depression, or any type of suffering. Too much time in the high beta is also connected to a weak immune system. So if we're staying too high at that 35 or higher hertz, we're actually stressing our system out by staying there for too long. All right. So then we move into the alpha, which is called the flow stage. This is 7 to 13 hertz. So this is what they call the gateway to deeper mental planes. I thought that was pretty cool. So this is where the mind chatter begins to slow down, the worries begin to melt away, and this is a great place for learning, studying, and, believe it or not, for reversing brain aging.
I'm listening.
So it says alpha is a brainwave state that is related to calm, peaceful, feelings of relaxation and releasing the happy hormones like serotonin. So we're starting to slow down in kind of like our evening phase, right? The endorphins are starting to flow. So we're actually helping our body with these hormones, right? By staying in these particular states that are actually assisting us. So increased time in these states help to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression levels. Okay.
Wow. I'm kind of surprised because I always thought, based on things I've heard, that you always want the highest frequency possible. What's the highest frequency? Love. And you always want to be riding high as much as you can. But you had said that prolonged time at a higher vibrational frequency, maybe not the best thing.
Right. Whether it's good or bad. I mean, you think about it. Holding a really happy and joyful emotion can be just as, take as much energy, if you will, as being depressed. And in you know what I mean? Sure. For an extended period of time. We all have to have that time of rest and relaxation, because when we're in too high of a state of energy or brainwave, then that's going to cause us to essentially if you stay too focused in one area for too long, then it takes away from another area, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard about the 17-second rule?
Yes.
Oh.
You're talking about Abraham Hicks.
I have no idea. Go ahead.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying, though. What the premise of that is, and if you can hold it for longer, even better, because it just helps to build the energy around it. But starting with a thought, feeling, emotion, whatever the case may be, focusing on things that are surrounding that particular emotion and staying focused within that space. As you continue to do that, then you build that energy around it within you and your belief in that.
So, and I've heard just that, and that we should think of a moment where you just felt terrific. Could be you bought that first car when you were younger. You went on vacation, this one vacation. Oh my gosh, it was the best feeling ever. And you just think of what that felt like. Then you hold that feeling for at least 17 seconds. Mm-hmm. And that eventually you manifest those feelings, and or you're able to change your neuroplasticity. You're just within your mind. And you can connect it to something else that maybe you're wanting to manifest or create. Yes. Thank you for saying that. Mm-hmm.
And that's very powerful, actually.
Wow. I just got back from a 3-day getaway a couple of weeks ago, and I still think back to it.
Yeah.
Because it was like I wasn't planning on doing that, and it just felt, nice break. But that feeling that was there.
Yeah.
So back on the certain waves here, where do we go from here?
Well, so then we go to theta. And of course, we've talked about theta a lot. That's the state that I primarily work in with hypnosis, but that's that state right before you're going to sleep or right when you're waking up. It's that groggy feeling. You still feel like you're a little bit in that dream state, but you're alert and you know what's going on. So now here is where we have the access to the biggest and most abundant source of creativity, called the liminal space, that space in between, but sleep and awake, right?
Never heard that name. Say that name again. It's the
liminal.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So it's the space between when you're awake and when you're asleep. It's just before. And so this state appears in trance-like states that are dreamy yet vivid and can leave us feeling more open and connected as we gain access to the subconscious mind. That's what I find so cool, is that we can be in both of those states at the same time, but it allows us for the least resistance and access to that subconscious space.
So, all right. So that would say that we're in a hypnotic state right before we go to sleep.
Yes.
We don't even know that we are. So for anybody that's afraid of being hypnotized, you are before you go to sleep.
Yeah. So what do you want to put into your brain before you go to sleep? And those Hertz frequencies can be a great modality to use to just help ensure that you're staying in a good state while you're in your sleep.
So cool. This is like,
yeah, right? It really is.
The state when you, and I don't want to run out of time, and you mentioned it before we, as we started going, the state that your mind is in when you're younger, like 6, 7 years old.
Yep. Let's talk about that.
Sure.
So delta is the lowest one, by the way, and that's where you can have the best effect of healing the immune system and all of that. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. It's actually called a super healing magical state. So let's just put that out there. So think about that when you're picking out your Hertz frequencies later before you go to sleep.
Wow.
So talking about Bruce Lipton is who I was following on this primarily. He talks about that the programming is set up within the first 7 years of our life. And so what's important to understand in regards to all of that and how it determines our lifelong character is during the first 2 years, from birth to 2 years. And I just want to also point out that in utero, we actually have the ability to reach the theta state. So the baby actually starts being programmed to the outside world during the 3rd trimester.
Wow.
So in the first 2 years, the baby's in the delta state. So in that super healing, magical state, because everything's growing, everything's developing, not just the brain, but every part of the body. So if you can imagine everything that's going in during that subconscious state, not in the conscious state, because that's not reached until about the age of 7 or 8. So we have no reasoning. We think about that hypnotic state and how suggestible we are. And that's exactly how children are. They absorb everything around them. Everything they hear, every, reaction, emotion, and they take that in, and that helps develop their character.
For good or bad.
For good or bad. So it is very important. And for people who are concerned about that, especially being pregnant or having young children, yes, it is very important. And so the theta stage is from 2 to 7. And that's, again, primarily the state that we work in. But this is the state where, imagine like a kid riding a broom in the kitchen, right? Maybe you did this when you were younger and you're like, oh, I'm riding my horse, right? And then mom comes in and she tries to take the broom because she needs to sweep the floor. And, the kids either putting up resistance or like, what are you talking about? This is my horse. And so that is more of that state that we're in during that time frame. And so what's important to understand is that waking from delta into theta in the morning, alpha as we get dressed, eat, and drive to work, beta mode as we reverse that order and we come back home during the day, we go into alpha stage, and then we go into theta and delta before we go to sleep at night. So during the first couple of years, again, that program is getting set in, and we don't actually start cycling through every stage until about the age of 7 or 8. And then even from that point up until about 18, we're really still programming through those other stages that we weren't using during our younger years, if you will. So a lot of programming is going on even up until 18 and beyond. And I think I've even heard to 25 or so that the brain is still developing until we really reach that maturity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've heard that too. And this backs it up.
Yeah.
Are you a parent?
I am. I have 3 daughters.
Okay. I have 2 and a son. And now that I know this stuff, if I knew it when they were younger, I would have parented differently.
Most definitely. I would have as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Not that, I'm not throwing us under the bus. Not that we did anything wrong.
You do what you know.
You do. And what do you know? What you got from your parents, typically.
Exactly.
And they got it from theirs. And, doesn't mean it was always the right thing. But even things like, and we're out of time, but just even things like joking with your kids, like goofy dad, but that can have an impact. They can internalize it a certain way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize it.
No. And why would you? You're just being fun. But, like if you tease your kid, just goofing around, they may take it seriously and hold it. And now, take that into adulthood and then have some challenges. And then for that, there is hypnotherapy.
Right. And neuroplasticity. The beauty is we have the ability to change those patternings. And that's what hypnosis helps with. Being able to go back into that theta stage, address those patterns or whatever it is that may have caused you, to be in this space now and have these patterns and to help address that and reverse it.
And the beauty of all of this is you can do this modality virtually.
Yes.
I've never had it done in person. It's always been like a Zoom video, just like we're doing right now.
All you need is the voice, right?
I just sit back and do nothing. That's the other part. You don't have to do anything. There's no work. Just listen and internalize. Melissa, what's the best way to find you if somebody wants to even ask some questions, learn a little bit more, maybe even book a session?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Google under Happy Medium Hypnosis. I have a Calendly link there where you can book a 60-minute session with me where we can see if this is a good fit for you. And you can also see photos and all kinds of reviews, 5-star reviews for me. Also, you can reach out to me, especially if you'd like to book for a group or speaking engagement. I lost my words there for a moment. But my phone number is 602-622-2684.
Thank you for making all of this clear. And it's so fundamental for all of us. And I'm amazed that this isn't more mainstream by this time. Hypnotherapy has been around for decades, but I'm gratified that it is, that we're talking about it and more people are realizing that, I got to work with this up here. Life can be a lot better for you once you figure it all out. Thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely. And I hope all this information helps anyone who needs it, because that's what I'm here for.
Looking forward next time we get together.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.